The story of Ramana Maharshi begins quietly, in a small town in the south of India called Tiruchuzhi. He was born there on the 30th of December in the year 1879. His parents named him Venkataraman. There was nothing in that birth, and nothing in the years that followed, to suggest that this child would one day be remembered as one of the great sages of the modern age. He was, by every ordinary measure, an ordinary boy. The family was Brahmin, respectable but not wealthy. His father, Sundaram Iyer, worked as a kind of country lawyer, helping people with their legal matters in the small courts of the district. He was known as a generous and honest man, a man others trusted. His mother, ALIDA, was devout and warm-hearted, the steady center of the household. There were other children too, brothers and a sister, and the home was full of the ordinary noise and movement of family life. Venkataraman grew up in the middle of all this, neither spoiled nor neglected, simply one boy among many. If you had visited Tiruchuzhi in those years and asked about him, you would have heard nothing remarkable. He played the games other boys played. He swam in the river. He wrestled and ran and got into the small troubles that healthy children get into. He was strong and well-built, good at sports, and he held his own among his friends. There were no visions, no trances, no signs of an unusual destiny. This is worth pausing on, because it is so often expected that a future saint should glow with holiness from the cradle. Venkataraman did not. He was a normal, sturdy South Indian boy. Two things about him, though, were quietly unusual, and people who knew him later liked to recall them. The first was his sleep. Venkataraman slept so deeply that nothing could wake him. His friends would tell stories of it with amazement. They could carry him from one place to another while he slept. They could even strike him or play rough jokes on him, and he would not stir. In the morning, he would have no memory of any of it. It was as if, when he slept, he went somewhere completely beyond the reach of the world. No one thought much of it at the time. It was simply a curiosity, the sort of thing children laugh about. Only much later would people wonder whether that capacity to fall utterly away from the surface of things was a hint of something deeper in his nature. The second unusual thing was his memory. At school, Venkataraman was not especially fond of study, and he was not particularly ambitious about his lessons. Yet he had a remarkable gift. He could hear something once and hold it. He could read a passage and repeat it back almost word for word. This made schoolwork easy for him, easy enough that he did not need to apply himself, and so he often did not. He was bright without being studious, capable without being driven. His teachers saw a clever boy who could have done more if he had cared to. Then the calm of his childhood was broken. When Venkataraman was 12 years old, his father Sundaram Iyer fell suddenly ill and died. It was a heavy loss. The death of a father is a great shock to any child, and for this family it changed everything at once. The home in Tiruchuzhi could no longer hold them all together in the same way. The children were divided among relatives so that they could continue their education and be cared for. Venkataraman and one of his brothers went to live with their uncle in the city of Madurai, a larger and busier place than the quiet town where he had been born. So the boy who had run by the river in Tiruchuzhi now found himself in a city attending school there, living in his uncle's house, fitting into a new household and a new rhythm of life. He went to a school run by American missionaries and later to another local school. He was still the same boy in many ways, still strong, still gifted with that easy memory, still not very interested in his books. He took part in games. He had friends, and from the outside his life looked like the ordinary life of any teenage boy in Madurai at the close of the 19th century. When we look back at these early years, what stands out is precisely how undramatic they were. Here was a child with no apparent spiritual hunger, no early mystical experiences, no sense that he was set apart. He grieved his father, adjusted to a new city, and carried on. And yet this very ordinariness is part of what makes his story so striking. The great change, when it finally came, did not grow slowly out of years of seeking. It arrived suddenly, in an ordinary boy living an ordinary life, and it arrived with such force that it transformed him completely in a single afternoon. In the next chapter, we come to that turning point. We will stand with Venkataraman in his uncle's house in Madurai at the age of 16, when a sudden and overwhelming fear of death swept over him without warning, and we will see how, instead of running from that fear, he chose to walk straight into it.